If you are having a hard time being able to convert your followers into customers, watch this video, because in this video, I'm going to share my 3-part brand messaging strategy to help you authentically sell online using your story. Let's determine your brand messaging. Brand messaging refers to the value proposition conveyed and the language used across all of your content. It's what makes your brand relatable because it's inspirational, motivational, funny, and sticky. People remember it. It's ultimately what makes customers say, hey, I want to buy from this brand. And a successful brand messaging strategy is all about connecting your brand to your core audience. And if you don't have the right messaging, it's going to be very difficult to sell anything. So I created a 3-part system to really make this as simple and effective as possible. And we're gonna dive into the complete system right here, right now. The first part is determining your 3 core areas of messaging. The second step is determining the main takeaways for each of those topics. And the third step is connecting your personal story and the lessons you've learned to your solution, AKA your offers. So let's dive in to step number 1. Step number 1 is determining your 3 core areas of messaging. How do we determine that? So the first thing, and I'm gonna come on over to my writing board. So if you aren't sure of what you should be speaking on in your messaging, a really simple way to get started is to just speak on what you know and speak on what you are most passionate about. Because when you speak on what you know and what you're passionate about, it's going to flow a lot easier because you're knowledgeable about it and you are excited about it. So that's the first step. And if you really are unsure, start to make a list of everything that you're knowledgeable about and everything that you're super passionate about and see where they overlap to connect the dots. Now, the next step is to fill out this diagram. So the next step is to fill out this diagram, which is ultimately going to help determine and define your 3 core areas of messaging. So at the top of the diagram, I want you to write out what you do, who you are, your niche, who you serve, basically in one sentence, what you do. So for this example, I am going to pretend I'm a course creator that helps aspiring coaches start, grow, and launch their coaching business. That is ultimately what I do. Now, get specific in different areas of things that you teach, different topics that you teach. So in my business, in this example, say I teach social media, I teach mindset and confidence, and maybe I also teach operations. Right? Those are the 3 main core topics that I teach to help aspiring coaches start, grow, and launch their business. These are things that you should already know in your business. And if you don't, take the time to really think about what you do, because you want to make sure that you have a clear understanding about that before moving forward. So now take some time, pause the video, and fill out the diagram for your specific business. Now we're gonna go on to step number 2. Step number 2 is helping you determine the main takeaways for each of these 3 core topics that you just determined and you just defined for your business. So going back to this same example on my board. So social media. I don't just teach everything about social media. What's my main takeaway in my business that I want to help my customers with? So maybe for this example, I teach people how to use social media to find clients for their business. So that's my main takeaway, right? I'm teaching social media to help people find clients in their coaching business to ultimately grow their coaching business. Same thing for confidence. I'm not just teaching confidence. There has to be some type of takeaway. So I'm teaching the skill of confidence to help my clients negotiate for a higher rate. And operations, I am helping my clients learn a system to go from one-to-one to group coaching. right? Because part of my business is helping them scale, and that's how you scale. Now you have your 3 main takeaways for each topic, which helps you really start to construct your messaging across all of your different platforms, from your website copy to what you post on Instagram and social media. When you can really get clear about the result that you want for your customers, it helps you determine your messaging better. And so we want to make sure that you get super specific with this, because yes, you can grow over time, but we want to make sure that you're tailoring your message to really your core offers and your core audience. So take some time to determine your 3 takeaways for each of the topics that you laid out on this chart. Step number 3 is all about connecting your personal story with your offers, because people remember stories, not lessons, not tactics, not products. But when you can really effectively connect your personal story into all of your messaging, it's going to be much easier to rise above the noise and become unforgettable. So to help you get started, I created a simple formula. Let's go over to the whiteboard. So this formula is called the PS formula. It is basically your personal story plus your personal solution equals your desired result. So what does this mean? In your personal story, yes, you are talking about what led you to start this business and your journey, but you want to make sure that you're really sharing the problem in this area. What was the problem that you encountered? And because of that problem, that led you to learning something and then finding a solution for it. So this is the what. What did you discover? What was that solution? And then people are like, oh my gosh, I have that same problem. I connect with your story. How can you help me? Oh, well, the how is your offer. It's your products and your services. So you share the problem in a story, in your personal story, then you offer the result, sharing the what did you discover? And then people want to know more, like, how did you do that? I want to know. Oh, well, you could buy my products or services or work with me or whatever that may be. This works for product-based businesses and service-based businesses. It's all about storytelling. So here's an example of the PS formula in action with my own business. So I'm looking at my 3 core topic areas that I drew on my graph, and one of them is public speaking. And my desired takeaway for that is to have entrepreneurs learn my system to grow their business and brand through public speaking. So that's attached to one of my offers, which is a course. So if I'm looking at the PS formula, my desired result, that's what you want to determine first, like what are you actually selling? What's your desired result? Is selling my public speaking course. So in action, the PS formula, personal story. When I was just 21 years old, I had a 1% chance to live. And that changed my life forever. But it also led me to sharing my story vulnerably and authentically with audiences all over the world. At the same time, I was working to grow my business, The Woman in Power X, and I was struggling to gain awareness. I was struggling to try to get people to attend my events, buy my products. But what I realized was the more I started to speak, the more I got in front of people, the more I grew my business. It was a direct correlation. And I saw that so many entrepreneurs were struggling to grow their business, thinking that they needed a bigger marketing budget. So that was the personal story. Of course, it could go deeper than that. But did you see how I painted the problem also, in the sense that entrepreneurs have a problem thinking they need a bigger marketing budget to grow their business? Now going on to the personal solution. So what I learned was that the more I effectively communicated my message and shared my story publicly as a speaker, the more my brand grew. And public speaking has by far been the best marketing vehicle to grow my business and brand with a $0 marketing and advertising budget. So then people are naturally, if you're speaking to your core audience, which mine is entrepreneurs, they're naturally going to be more interested. Like, oh my gosh, you sold me on this idea that public speaking is the way to grow my business, make an impact, get the word out about my business. But how do I do it? Well, buy my course. That is the PS formula in action. So I want you to take time to write it out. Again, this should be very simple for you. Don't think too much into it, because over time, as you start to communicate your brand messaging across all your platforms, you're going to be able to get more clarity around it. Just write your personal story, add your personal solution and your desired results. Now you can have more than one. So for example, that was for public speaking course. I have another PS formula for our membership and for our events. But I will say one thing, the story is always the same. Your personal story should always be the same. Your personal solution will change, but your story should be the same. Now you can change the problem a bit, meaning like a problem that I saw through networking after I felt so alone from my near-death experience, from having that 1% chance to live, was that there was a disconnect for women. So that was the problem. Then that solution is going to lead into selling my membership. But your personal story should be the same across everything, because that's what's going to help make you memorable and unforgettable. So remember, people remember stories versus lessons. You don't have to be salesy in your messaging in order to create sales for your business. It's all about connecting your brand to your audience in a very authentic and consistent way. So the next steps of what I would like for you to do in order to make sure that you are moving forward in growing your business and your brand. Step number 1, define your 3 core messages using the graph and the chart that we created for you. Step number 2 is determine your 3 main takeaways off of those 3 core messages. Step number 3 is to get clear on your personal story. Step number 4 is to write out your PS formula for each of your offers. Start with 1 at a time. So those are your 4 action steps to take after watching this video to help you really get started with your brand messaging. Again, it should be very consistent across all your different platforms. Of course, your About Me page is going to look very different than a 30-second elevator pitch, which is going to look very different than an Instagram story. But when you can really paint the picture as we have today and be very clear around your 3 core topics, what your goals are and how you incorporate storytelling into them, you will be able to resonate with your audience across all the different platforms and really become memorable and unforgettable. So if you have any questions, let us know and continue on the great work growing your business and your brand.